already at a fever pitch, and I think hopefully that'll continue as we've got loads of cool things to show you, and just revel in loads of really cool Warhammer 40,000 things.
Right. We can see the chat is already just absolutely bursting with folks. If you've joined us from somewhere unusual, I mean, we're in British Standard Time here, but there must be people from around the world. My good friends in California have signed in.
Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis, and we're going to sit and watch the Warhammer online preview. This is happening live right now, as you can see. But, yeah, it's already been spoiled. It is a 9th edition. And, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I want to hear them explain it before I give my final verdict on it.
Favorite game? I
have an idea of how it's going to be played, and I was looking at all the forums and everything, and it's played like Apocalypse, and I'm a little bit hesitant on that. But some people are saying it's played like 8th edition, with just a more balanced rule set, but I, again, don't believe that. Mostly because they use the word balanced and 40k. Simply too many armies to try to balance in this game. So let's take a look into this and see how they are doing this.
Squig off in the room. There have been some
rumours. Very rude way to talk about me, Adam.
There's some rumours going around on the internet. If you're here, you've come to the right place to discover the truth. So it's lovely to have you with us.
I'm really hoping that all of my rumours are disproven.
Revealing some truly awesome stuff. If you've got friends who are into Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 in particular, and you think that they might like to be on the ground floor as the news starts to break,
we have the
drop them a line, send them the link.
I'm really hoping this is fake.
The more the merrier. We want everybody to enjoy this this time with us. Eddie, this preview is going to work a little bit differently to the ones we've done before. How's it going to work?
Yep, so for those of you who've tuned into our previews currently, some of the format will be familiar. It's obviously, we're live here on Twitch. We're also over on the Warhammer community website with an article updating things as and when they get revealed. We will be joined by a series of guests. Unlike some of the previous previews that we've had, though, we have a slightly wider range of guests joining us. We also have a few kind of group chats as well, where we've got some people from the community and from the studio teams behind Warhammer 40,000 to kind of come on and talk about some of the things that we're showing off today.
Okay, so they're extending this as long as they can.
I think
That makes sense.
Obviously, if you've ever been to a Warhammer preview at one of the events that we do, the first thing you'll notice that's different is that we're not live and in person. The world is in a curious place at the moment. It's been really nice to continue doing these. In fact,
here we go. They probably should have waited until like 12 p.m. That way they have the maximum number of viewers from both the European and the American servers. They currently have 29,000. I think that's pretty good. It's about average for something like this. I know the Overwatch League, for instance, that I watch almost every day, has about the same amount of viewership. So that's pretty cool.
It is obviously lovely to go to events around the world like Adepticon, LVO, Note, for those sort of places, and talk to customers face to face, talk to our fans of the Warhammer hobby. But it is also really nice to be able to do it online as well, because there is a limit to the number of people you can fit into those physical events. You can't get more than about 1,000 people in a room before you get some serious logistical
Well, you could
problems.
also live stream those events.
At the moment, we're joined by tens of thousands of people over on the Twitch feed, so it's just really lovely to be able to share Warhammer with so many people.
Most logical thing to do from this.
I've always been a fan of the opportunity to meet people.
Now, normally I would pause and talk about all of this stuff.
This to me just feels like an extension.
So we're just going to go like this real quick. Normally what I would do in a video like this is I would pause it and go through it each step by step, but I'm going to break this down into multiple videos. I'm going to be doing this live react. Unfortunately, I did not wake up early enough to actually do this live, which would have been really cool, to be honest. But I digress. I'm going to watch this live, give my 2 cents, wait a little bit, let it digest, go through the Warhammer community stuff, and then I'm probably going to talk about all of the stuff that's been happening to me in my personal life in another video. My hair is just...
2 talking points I want to go through before we all get started. The first is, we've seen a bunch of stuff for Warhammer 40,000 in the previews up to now that hasn't come out yet, all connected to Psychic Awakening. I wondered if you wouldn't mind recapping with us a little bit of the Psychic Awakening stuff that's right on the doorstep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Psychic Awakening is obviously a big event for Warhammer 40,000. We're starting to see Psykers across the galaxy become more and more of them appear, and the ones that there are in the galaxy kind of becoming more and more powerful and more prominent and having major roles to play in the unfolding story of Warhammer 40,000. So we've seen a lot of those already, and we know that there are 3 more books on the way for Psychic Awakening. The first of those is Engine War. So Engine War is a book that will include the Adeptus Mechanicus, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and Chaos Demons. So this, as you'd imagine, is a massive
They
war,
desperately need to update the Chaos Demons. As of right now, they kind of suck.
Sacred technology is up for grabs to either be protected or despoiled. Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights are having kind of unholy jousts across the planet. Chaos Demons are going to be manifesting from the warp to kind of crash into legions of Skitarii. It's going to be pretty cool. So we know that's on the way. That's going to be the next one, and it's going to be pretty soon. We also know that new releases are starting up again pretty soon, so that might not be too far off at all.
That's one of the things that's addressed in the other thing.
Yeah, so the next one we've got is War of the Spider, which we've seen.
Will these be usable in the 9th edition? And the answer is yes. They were written with 9th edition in mind. So
kind of his grand plan for
it's kind of weird.
41st
It's kind of weird.
So he is a kind of scientist and experimenter, but with a very kind of evil supervillain sort of vibe to him. So he's trying to kind of understand the Emperor's creation of the Space Marines. He's trying to build the perfect man. He's trying to unpick the technology behind the Primaris Marines and even the Adeptus Custodes. And if he succeeds, goodness knows what he's going to create. And then up against him, you have the forces of the Adeptus Custodes. You have the Death Guard, who aren't too...
I didn't know he was trying to discover the Custodians.
That not fans
That's interesting.
And then you've got a variety of Imperial agents who are trying to kind of track him down and finish him off once and for all. The Imperials have been trying to assassinate Fabius Bile for about 10,000 years, and they haven't managed it yet. So
no, because he has plot armor thicker than Titan armor.
Playing that long game, isn't he?
I mean, quite literally, they killed him back in 4th edition, and then they resurrected him and said it was a clone. So yeah.
And his sort of machinations and the agents and things who work with him. But the forces of the Imperium.
That's actually one of my biggest critiques of the Psychic Awakening series, is the fact that it doesn't feel like anything is in peril.
Anybody who's familiar with Warhammer 40,000 will know is that Chaos is definitely not a unified force. No. One of the great things that stops Chaos kind of overwhelming everything immediately is that Chaos does not play well with itself. The Chaos Gods have their kind of great game that they compete with each other all the time, and their servants are kind of extensions of their will. So that the Death Guard are up to something that may actively oppose things that other bits of the Chaos Pantheon want to happen. And you see that even
what would be cool is if we could focus on those other pantheons, especially the 2 that you're avoiding,
really
such as, the Demonkin and
so that's the
Noise
second
Marines.
book anyway.
Please,
Noise
Marines.
The third one is Pariah.
They need buffs, and
Pariah
they are cool, and they should have a full-fledged army, just like the other 2 that have a full-fledged armor.
Refers to a few different things.
Army?
So we know that Pariah will see the return of Demonofuge, who is a Sister of Battle character, the kind of heretic saint, kind of not quite understood power, which either comes from faith or possibly chaos or possibly the Emperor or possibly none or all of the above.
It comes from the collected souls of multiple Sisters of Battle that were all sacrificed at once and put into her. Is the collective faith of those sisters while they were being tortured by a demon of Slanesh, and all put into her, and then she went and fought in the cages of Gamora, and then went into the Black Library. We actually know quite a bit about her. We know her entire story.
Things work, and being a Necron, he's kind of utterly implacable, utterly inhumane. He just kind of picks the human apart and goes, "Oh, I can't find the soul in here. I wonder. Let's try another one. This one must be broken." Sort of again, a kind of horrible scientific unpicking of humanity towards a kind of unknowable alien goal.
I do like that they're moving the
big changes coming with
Necrons away from the Terminator to the androids from freaking Dragon Ball Z. Just buff androids.
Okay, so there's lots of cool things sort of already announced and on the horizon for Warhammer 40,000. Which is the one that you're most excited about?
So I think
Mecha horses.
I'm excited about Demonofuge. I think I read those graphic novels 20 years ago, and I kind of wanted the character then, and there was a version that came out a little while back, but it never quite did the character justice, I don't think. But the new one looks stunning, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I think actually I'm looking forward to seeing what Engine War brings as
The
well.
thing that
because
he's
we know there's
mentioning,
lots
the
of cool
original
models,
Ethereal Stern was a
coming from
dreadnought.
the Adeptus Mechanicus.
So
We've
this
seen
is
those
just a
already,
battle.
but obviously those are going to come accompanied by loads of new rules as well.
Came
So I
out in
think,
3rd edition.
Overnight, when that book drops, the Adeptus Mechanicus army basically fundamentally changes. It goes from being a kind of infantry slugging army with some robot backup to being a kind of fast, dynamic army with cavalry and flyers and all sorts of extra options and combinations.
Depending on their rules, they might stick to just Castellan robots that have the highest damage output of any single faction unit in the game right now.
Sort of Leonardo da Vinci-esque.
I mean, the only thing that compares to them is the Centurions.
Imperial bombast and pomp.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see those on the tables.
And to see what people do with them as well, because I mean, we've only seen it in one color scheme so far. One of the coolest things, even when you see the models, I'm sure you'll know, we get to see the models a little bit ahead of time sometimes, and we always see them in the heavy metal color scheme, which is always immaculately done.
The chat.
But then seeing what the community does with those when they get their hands on them, like
Battlefleet Gothic would be
like
cool. You guys should bring back Battlefleet
Gothic.
Gothic. Does Fantasy Flight still own it?
Incredible new paint jobs.
I'm curious.
It's got nice big panels to do kind of awesome. It's going to be cool. I'm just looking forward to see what people do with it. Really.
Yeah, you and me both. The chat is absolutely bursting with people who are calling out the things that they're excited to see. Some of them are completely wild. They're telling us where they're from. I saw a person from Cornwall, right down on the west.
Everybody loves to see loads of flags. I think that's everyone's favourite thing to post in Twitch chats.
Right. So
loads
yeah,
of flags.
If you want to drop your flag, show us where you're from. That's really cool. Loads of people just obviously.
I wonder if they're actually going to reference the Void Dragon, because the new lore for the Necrons has been pushing away from the use of their gods, and instead they use them more like Pokemon, where they use the Tezzeret Bolts. They have a shard of the Satan inside it, and then they release them onto the battlefield. So I'm hoping that they actually talk about the Void Dragon of Mars and things of that nature, because I would actually like to see the Void Dragon awaken, protect the Mechanicus because those are his new servants, and fight against the Necrons because the Necrons want to destroy all of the
But I have been doing a
Satan.
little bit of Ork hobby, a little bit behind me on the table there. So this week I've been building some Speed War stuff.
Is that the stuff that arrived the other day?
It was, yeah. So I got the Mega Track Scrapjet, and I've got a Deathkiller War Trike, and mine will be pulled by a squig.
Awesome.
But yourself, Adam, have you got any hobby on the table currently?
My hobby is mostly contained. I have a weekly hobby catch up with some friends. We jump on Discord and we have a little video chat. I've been working on Imperial Knights and Titans.
Well, now we have confirmation that they do use Discord.
So I've now finished all of my little Imperial Knight models, the tinny ones, and I promised myself when I'd done those I could start on the Warbringer. But then I got distracted because while I was mowing the lawn and doing some gardening, I listened to Valdor, Birth of the Imperium. Which was awesome, and so I also went and bought an Adeptus Custodes model. I can't help myself. So
I've been catching up on the Horus Heresy Siege of Terror audiobooks.
Yeah, you find out about the Primarch's mother in that series
against the Death Guard, and I'm like, I think I might need a White Scar army.
Right, that's my favourite and also least favourite.
Still can't believe they're all genetically related to one woman. I think that's really cool.
More hobby, right? Somebody from Portsmouth. All sorts of people from all over around the world. If you are in the chat and you want to join in the conversation, it's going so fast we won't be able to pick out many things, but we'll try and address some topics if they come up. You need to be a subscriber to join the chat. You can do that either using an Amazon Prime subscription in the little subscribe option at the top, or you can subscribe for $4.99 a month. I don't know what that is in pounds, it's different. And then you can ask us questions. Regardless, you can join in, and you can also watch this stream again when we're done. The full archive is up and available for free right now, so fill your boots.
Is there anything keep on watching this one right now?
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe you're crazy. I would stay right where you are for now. Right, is there anything else we want to cover off?
Necrons definitely, like I'm reading the chat as it goes and everything. Necrons desperately need an update. Like they kind of suck right now. And it's not kind of, they are one of the worst tier armies in the game.
Well, let's go on time, So we've got about 40 seconds left, so...
there you go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shout outs. We've got shout outs for the Necrons, we've got people screaming, wow, there's somebody telling us they're from Nottingham, that's just down the road from us. Lovely to have you with us. Somebody wants the little guys to come back, that would be awesome. Death to the Heretics, couldn't agree more, although Eddie will tell me my guys are the Heretics.
Alright, that's pretty funny.
So many of you so hyped up, people from the US joining us, people from Central Europe. I'm thrilled to have you all with us. I cannot wait to show you what we're about to show you. With no further ado, Ben, hit it.
All right.
In the darkness between the stars, the weak and the faithless find no
Hey, that's that same
deliverance.
Inquisitor. Oh, they're actually showing the deatomization. Nice.
We
Oh.
are raised to believe that the God Emperor watches over us all.
That's some sick animation. Holy
So we are charged
shit.
to cleanse the mutant, the heretic.
Oh my god, this animation looks intense.
We must not falter. We are his sword. We are his wrath. Even in the face
Yo!
of death, we shall not submit.
I like that new Necron unit.
Suffering is our prayer. Faith is our armor.
Huh.
In battle, he offers us redemption.
So that's the woman from the cover of the 7th edition the Codex. And she's using a power
And
sword.
for those who prove worthy, the Emperor sends forth his angels.
Yo! What chapter? It's Ultramarines? It's not Ultramarines! Oh, it is Ultramarines, never mind. Looks like a Devastator Sergeant.
Our Imperium is besieged.
Primaris.
Across 1,000 worlds, we fight for our survival.
Primaris Marine with a Storm
Those
Shield.
that would tear humanity down are legion. Our forces are few. Our enemies many. There is
Get him
no
smashed,
respite.
Captain.
There is no mercy. And in our darkest hour, a spiteful universe awakens forgotten evils to break us.
Yeah, this Sergeant is kicking ass. And the sisters are here. They're actually aiding.
Galaxy burns.
Holy crap, GW actually
Yet still
remembered the
we
sisters can
stand.
fight. Clearly this isn't done by
Bulwark
Ben
against
Counter.
the terror. And while we draw breath, we will fight. For in this new dark age, there is only
Okay. And yeah, that's the new logo that looks like the Top Gear logo. I saw this earlier. But Ave Deus Imperator, holy crap, that actually looked intense.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'm still Adam Troke. I'm still joined by Eddie Eccles, and we're now joined by the Supreme Lord of the Warhammer Studio, Master of Models and Box Games, Pete Foley.
That freaking
What
animation,
we just
that
saw.
was stellar. That was amazing.
Sorry, guys, I couldn't hear you for a minute there. I probably can now, though, so do you want to try again?
Well,
Oh, no.
we'll start from the top. How about that?
Already.
I'm still Adam Troke, still Eddie Eccles. We're joined by Pete Foley. If you don't know, Pete Foley manages the Book and Box Games studio for the Warhammer studio. He's been heavily involved in everything to do with what you just saw. What did we just see? What is this?
So a pretty
They
amazing
actually
picture
remembered
into the
Sisters of
Forward
Battle.
Best
That's,
Millennium, I
like,
think.
so
Everyone will
surprising.
probably agree.
Usually
But-
these
and
things
if
are
it
just
wasn't obvious,
bolters, bolters, and
clearly the
Marines,
announcement
Marines
of
doing
the
bolter
brand new
things,
edition
and
of Warhammer
Marines doing
40,000.
things to their bolters,
Yeah,
and
an
enemies
unbelievable
exploding.
way to
But it
make
actually,
that declaration.
it actually
With
felt
a
like
just
a real
incredible new
cinematic,
logo.
and that's based on the new book that's coming out.
What can you tell us?
these,
What happens?
Pariah book.
What happens next? What are we looking at?
Well, the culmination of the Psychic Awakening storyline that's been building up over the last 6-9 months now. We've been seeing there's a darkness forming in a corner of the galaxy, and the Necrons have been up to mischief. I obviously don't want to
Slight
spoil
tangent. The Psychic Awakening for the first Psychic Awakening book with the Eldar
it features
has
Necrons
nothing to do with the Psychic
bad
Awakening
things
and
trying to
nothing
switch
really
off
to do with the
things
galaxy as a
that
whole.
They shouldn't switch off.
Just saying. The Space Wolf
Nice.
one
I like it.
shows
And
that
so-
the Space Wolves
so
are
essentially
incompetent
this
and don't know
all
what
connects to
stealth
that
is.
Psychic Awakening
And
narrative that's been building up
what
and
was the
coming
other one?
forward.
The Dark Angel one
what
is
were you
really
trying
good.
to do with the new edition?
Dark
New
Angel
edition
one
means
and
a lot of
the
things to a lot
Tau
of
one
new
are
people.
extremely
What does it mean to
good.
you?
So a new edition tends to be a really great opportunity for us to learn.
Yep,
and
so they
put
did
into
just say
practice
it's a new
everything that
edition.
we've seen and learned over the last 3-4 years.
So that is confirmed now.
Spending time with the community, but also gives us an opportunity to.
Now, what I'm
to put
hoping
out all
for,
the crazy
this is
new
a
ideas that
change
we've-
like 6
we've
to
come up
7
with,
without formations.
In the studio, there tends to
So
be,
it's just a slight rules
a new
update
idea
where it's just
every
a
60
slightly
seconds
different
or so,
thing.
And we have to kind of collect them all up
So,
and look for
kind of-
opportunities
I'm kinda hoping
to
for
put them,
this.
put them out, and this is one of them. And finally, the threshold had been achieved. We had enough amazing new stuff, and new ideas, new ways of making the game better that we've learned, that we've seen, that we've thought of, and a great new storyline for the 41st for the galaxy.
Okay.
So Pete, of those ideas that you've pulled together and put into this new edition, which ones are you most excited to see in practice?
Sisters of Battle.
Oh, well, so there's lots of.
Give us new Sisters of Battle.
lots of
More
improvements
Sisters of
I think
Battle.
we've
I want
made,
Sister Bikers and
which, I
Terminators
think
because that would be
probably
cool.
talk about in a little bit more detail later. But one of the things I'm definitely most excited about is Crusade, which is a new way of playing Warhammer 40,000 with a very narrative spin. So it's a new way of collecting your army, or a new way of it growing.
Narrative.
Every game matters.
Sorry,
and I think
it's kind of a failure.
You'll
Like
be hearing us
Open
talk
War.
a lot about Crusade over the next few months.
Nice. I think Ben has just flashed up on screen a image which maybe we can dig into a little bit more when we talk about that further on. Okay.
Kind of looks like
So,
Sarah
I
Kaiser's
want to talk
work.
about the trailer just for a minute, and this is the celebration, the announcement of a new edition of Warhammer 40,000. You can see some of that brilliant narrative that's occurred through the writings of your team. What's your favourite bit from that trailer? Have you had a chance to watch the whole thing properly rather than like just that one glimpse you saw just now?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, so there's more of that.
I think my favourite part has to be when you get there's an even bigger new Necron like death dealing thing, which I
Right.
won't talk any more about.
It's probably got a cooler name.
It does have a much better name. I'm not saying it now.
So I'm hoping they go along with the
when
Destroyer
you
virus
think
some
you've
more
seen,
for the
you've seen what they
Necrons.
have to offer, then they have something even bigger.
Or whatever
and,
that virus is called that makes the flayed ones
an
the
even
flayed
bigger
ones and
threat
destroyers the
is coming.
destroyers.
Right. Chat, now is the time to pump Pete for questions if you want to know
That
anything about what you've
looks
seen in there, 'cause,
incredible.
I'll ask the questions. The image has just come up is actually probably my favourite bit. It's the incredible depth and roar of the bolter as the Sister of Battle fires it. I love the 40k IP and the concept that the
They
bolt gun
actually
is just
took
such
the
a ridiculous
cover and made it look
0.75 caliber mass reactor
good.
propelled shells that
Because the
explode
cover of the Sister of
inside
Battle
the enemy.
Codex looks
To see that Sister of
terrible,
Battle brace for
but
position and just unload
this
on those
looks so
Necron warriors.
good.
Absolutely did it for me. I've seen somebody real near in the chat has asked, were those Primaris intercessors with chainswords?
They look a lot like Primaris.
Certainly look like
Well,
Primaris.
Well, yeah.
There's one right there.
There was a close combat
Love
unit.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Sergeants can actually take a plethora of weapons.
Is that the guy you were talking about there, Pete?
There he is, look. Just when you thought
He's quite a lot bigger than most Necrons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just when they thought they had the Necrons sort of contained. Not yet.
Man, if only there was an
yeah, there's all
organization
sorts of,
specially
somebody
suited
said,
for
we'll
killing
just make it into,
Xenos
Sword
that they
Bolter
would
and
remember in the
Hammer Bolt.
Psychic
Actually, this is
Awakening.
a standalone thing that has been worked on very carefully to make sure that when we announce the new edition,
Captain looks really
that we
nice.
had a really great celebration, something to get hyped over. And there's so many cool images. Look at that Space Marine just turning around.
I think
with
that might be
Aquila
my
behind him.
favourite shot from the trailer right there. It just
Shoulder
kind of
pets
captures
look a
everything
little
that's Warhammer
low.
40,000, doesn't it? Yeah,
Right.
it's like battle
That's a
hardened
minor
Space
critique.
Marine with
His
the
shoulder
kind of
pads are a little
shrine of
bit
the
too
Aquila
low,
behind him,
like,
the light kind of pouring
should
through.
be a
He looks
little
like
bit
he's been through
higher.
the wars and is about to go to another one.
Yeah, somebody in the chat's talking about those guardsmen sheltering behind the barricade and getting just like rinsed by the
Sucks to be those
Necrons.
guys, yeah.
I'm like, it puts into perspective the horror of being a member
The
of
one
the Astra
guardsman
Militarum
looked
in
actually
like,
really
Galactic War.
intense.
Yeah, no amount of +1 cover save is going to save those guys.
It's really not. there's more there than we could ever possibly squeeze into.
Yes, I plan to do a full video just on that, like, because that's
all the right
amazing.
places for you to dissect at your leisure, and I'm sure we'll find.
Like, that is actually
later
some of the
on during
best
reveal.
40k animation I
We're
think I've
ready to
ever
show you
seen.
something else pretty awesome now, and it directly answers that question that Rielnir asked in the chat just a minute ago. Ben, hit it.
All right. I actually like the new logo. Like, it's working for me. It's working for me. I'm actually glad they did that trailer, because I was not hyped for this at all. And that kind of helped me out a bit. Okay, so we have a Primaris Marine with close combat weapons. It's a Sergeant. Or it's just a regular Primaris Marine. Ooh. Assault Intercessors. About time. About time. Do they have jump packs? Now, if they have jump packs, that'd be really cool, or a type of... Because I know a lot of people want bikes. I personally don't want bikes, I want jet bikes. Jet bikes are way cooler. So, it's interesting to see, and how many weapon upgrades can they get? Can you do them like a Vanguard squad, where every single one of them can have a special weapon? Can you do them like a normal assault squad, where you just have chainsword bolt pistol, which isn't really that good, considering how slow they are? And, I mean...
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's interesting.
we are
it's
back.
Interesting. There's a lot of questions I
still
have.
Eddie Eccles.
So let's see.
And
They
now we are
have 2,
joined
3,
by
4 attacks
Stu
on a
Black,
charge.
who is the head of
Each
the
person,
40K
the
team
sergeant
in
with
the Warhammer
5.
studio. Welcome, Stu.
So, and multiple wounds that
Oh,
puts
great, man.
assault marines out of
I
the
can't believe
picture.
how awesome this is to get to show all this stuff. Chainswords are back, baby. What did we just see?
So, as you guys alluded to, as an assault intercessor, there's nothing more 40k than a sword that's also a chainsaw.
Love it.
That is true. That is true. It is the most iconic thing in 40k is the chainsaw and bolter.
And close combat, Primaris Marines is probably the thing that we've been asked.
Are they going to have heavy bolt pistols or regular bolt pistols? See, I have a lot of questions about this. Can you upgrade the bolt pistol? Can you upgrade it to a storm bolter?
Absolutely love it. The quintessentially 40k nature of a sword that doesn't just kill the person you're hitting, but splatters them over everybody nearby is really the way to go.
It is.
And you see these guys like in action in the trailer that we did for the edition as well. So it's really cool to see them sort of taking it to the Necrons.
So now I'm hoping what they do
is
have the base pack and then just have
with,
upgrade packs.
Oh, there he is.
They are definitely different. That is a heavy bolt pistol,
Look pretty good in red, just saying.
They do. They look pretty good in every single colour.
Especially Caliban green.
Well, it's tempting to
Dark Angels.
Joke with you, Adam, about Dark Angels, but it'd be.
I'll go for it.
It'd be cool to all the other viewers.
Dark Angels are
Dark
no
Angels
joke.
can have them too.
Yes, come on.
And, as you can see there, he's got his chainsaw. He's also got a heavy bolt pistol.
So I was right about that.
Upgun bolt pistol. These guys are really, really good in combat.
I love it.
Yeah, I think
So
that one of the
they take the regular assault
there's lots of
marines
characters
and
in
make
the
them obsolete
Space Marine
unless
armies
you
right
take
now,
them
in
with jump
Primaris
packs.
armies especially, that we're looking
So
for a
it's
unit to lead
interesting
into
because
battle.
they
You've
have
got things
things like
Ragnar Blackbane, obviously released very recently. You've got.
Let's lower them real quick. It's interesting because they have reavers that can start 9 inches away from you and are pretty much the same thing. So I wonder what roles these guys will have and what role on the battlefield these guys will have, because they're mid-range at best unit for close combat, and they're going to be moving slow unless they're in a transport.
There's loads of different archetypes you can play with, but I love that kind of like crusading knight sort of element to them, the kind of forged in battle, kind of a prayer on their lips, charging into with a chainsaw. I think that guy looks like a Space Marine to me, even more so than the guy carrying bolt rifles and bolt guns.
Yeah, and it touches on something you'd have seen in the video as well. Like, so Space Marines have a big spectrum from kind of slightly more clean kind of sci-fi warriors, which I think things like the Phobos armor troops really kind of personify, all the way through to your full Gothic. Kind of, there's a guy with one of his battle brothers' skeletons strapped to a shield.
I know, right?
Yeah, that is actually pretty cool.
They go across that whole spectrum. So
that shield was pretty cool. Like, I'm really hoping that shield. I'm hoping that's not a captain.
Go to the other end of the spectrum.
I'm hoping that that's
All
the
in for
standard for
Gothic.
the sergeants.
Yeah, exactly. However you like your Space Marines, you'll be able to pick them along that spectrum in a gameplay that you think is the coolest.
I wonder.
And those assault.
If they
intercessors
cancel
kind
the
of
current intercessor
set off
kit,
in
which
that
they
direction.
won't, but if they did,
And it looked like we saw
could
some
they
other
make a
Space
dual
Marines we maybe
kit
hadn't
with
seen before. I think Adam
the
alluded to
updated
the captain
weaponry?
with like a storm shield with a skeleton attached to it, so
the coolest
leaning
thing ever.
even more.
So they
leaning
can
even
confirm
more
that it
heavily
is
into
a
that sort of
captain, so that's
Crusader
good.
archetype.
Yeah, I mean, it's that thing that Space Marines are. They are genetically engineered superhuman warriors from the future, who are also kind of have a medieval feel to them. They've got that kind of space knight vibe going on, that Crusader feel.
Yeah.
There's kind of a big mix of things that make and these models just really bring that to life.
I can't get over that.
Sounds
Somebody
great.
actually got away with that.
So you think we'll see some of the things?
Peter, chat.
We will see some of the things in that trailer for Space Marines.
Sorry.
Very good.
Yes.
I think it's a foregone conclusion, but I want ranks of
Somebody
intercessors
put penis in
with
chat.
chainsaw charge towards the enemy, and I want a captain with a skeleton on his shield. How many times does he have to replace that during a campaign, do you reckon? Does he get a new fresh skeleton each time?
Oh, more than
Just
likely.
whichever one of his guys died the most bravely in the last one.
I love it.
It's like a promotion, sort of. It's like, he's gone a little bit past Dreadnought. We have to put him on a shield.
Yeah, yeah. It means that
that's pretty funny.
Makes people not look forward to their performance review, right?
I think as an Orc player as well, I'm very much looking forward to having a good scrap with some of those Space Marines chainswords as well. They look like they'd be up for a good melee combat.
Yeah, they really
I feel
do.
so bad for Orcs.
Space Marine players,
They're just so outclassed in melee, it's funny. They're better off as a shooting army.
Or shooty-based army, but actually you can also build a really powerful close combat force.
Yeah, and I think certain chapters that are going to really enjoy that. I could imagine the Blood Angel players in the wings are probably over the moon about this.
Yeah, Black Templars
Black
as well.
Templars, yeah, all day.
Yeah,
But I think Black Templars especially lean into that kind of monastic, medieval knight sort of vibe, don't they? Even more so than some of the other ones. So
yeah, very much so. I'm sure we'll see loads of these guys painted up as Black Templars.
So I've got a couple of questions. As the lead on all things 40k here at Games Workshop, my first question for you is: what are you working on hobby at the moment?
Why is that
two
the
things.
question?
One, unsurprisingly, Space Marines. I've got my own
Love it.
chapter. And I realised as we went into lockdown here in the UK, I was nearly at a full battle company's worth of Primaris Marines for my Iron Hawks, so that became a bit of a kind of quarantine goal.
Iron
I've
Hawks,
also
interesting
been tempted
chapter
by
choice.
Four-Armed Emperor, so there's
it's a great choice. It's a great choice.
a couple of Genestealer cultists kind of lurking around the edges of my paint station.
The chat.
We'll
This chat
see
is
where that goes.
hilarious.
Some blips around the edge of the paint station.
Exactly that,
As you
yeah,
approach them, will manifest into units.
Exactly that.
Yeah, very nice. And I guess a question to maybe fuel some debate in the chat. As the lead on 40k, once and for all, which is the best Space Marine chapter?
Well, obviously I've got to say Dark Angels with you and Eddie on this one.
Right. The thing is that we can't
half
talk
of them.
about Eddie's opinion on Dark Angels.
It is the Dark
And
Angels.
Robin
They are my
Hotel,
favorite Space Marine
the
chapter.
Howling Griffins.
Followed really
Right.
close to the Betty
The
Ultramarines.
chat
I really
has
like
just
both of
exploded.
them.
Literally, it's just a wall of people like
If
hammering
only there was
into
some
people.
sort of tabletop war game which we could decide the best Space Marine chapter once and for all.
If only there
Only.
was.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
No, someone should make that.
That would be super grand.
Lame.
Okay. All right. So there were a couple of questions that have flown by that might be good to try and squeeze in before we move on out of here. We've covered whether or not these are available to all chapters. Somebody said, "Do you think the new edition?"
Now, what about
will,
Deathwatch, Grey
be
Knights,
good
and
for Play
you know
Combat,
some of the
or
more
is it
secretive natured chapters?
That is a good question. I certainly hope so. We'll talk a little bit more, I think, in a little while about some of the
Yep.
features of the new edition.
It'd be cool to see these in
Certainly,
Grey Knights.
Every army and every unit.
Primaris in Grey Knights.
The game.
Fix the
A
Grey
lot of
Knights.
things
They're
that
really
we'll talk about
good.
later that
Put
we'll
Primaris in them.
Definitely help kind of close combat armies. So it is always a good time to be waving a chainsaw.
That's fair.
Nice. I agree. When is a bad time to have a chainsaw day? Never.
As a person
Right.
with a chainsword,
So,
I can tell you there was
Ben
no bad time
is
to have your
whispering in my
chainsword.
ear that we're nearly time to tee up
Ooh.
the next interesting thing. So if everybody is sitting comfortably, we will show you the next
Speaking of,
video.
let's go ahead and shift. Kind of has a Terminator feel. Okay, so we got more Necrons. New Necrons. A new Necron sculpt? Please be new Necrons. Because the Necrons look so stupid. Does look like new Necrons. Okay, so it does look like a brand new Necron sculpt. That's... Alright. They pulled his legs together. He's no longer doing slab squats. Or taking a poop. Because that's what he looks like.
Oh boy! I love it. I'm still Adam Trope.
What a shock.
This is still Stu Black. And what you just saw, a sweet new Necron warrior. Not from a dynasty I recognise. Tell us what we just witnessed, Stu.
You saw a Necron warrior, Adam, from a new dynasty.
What? What did it? Tell me more. I'm can opening as best I can.
They should explore some of the dynasties that they have and give them richer lore and make them actually important. But they'll introduce something new that gets killed off really quickly.
He's got a different gun. Yeah, Necron warriors will come with 2 different types of weapons. The well-loved Gauss Flayer, but also a new weapon called the Gauss Reaper. It's kind of short-ranged, more powerful. Hey, there we go.
Oh, there's more of them.
And entirely more gentle, I assume.
Yes, definitely that.
So they're on 32s, which is cool. Their legs are still too far apart. Like, make them like their artwork where they're standing straight up and they have that skeleton look that's walking towards you.
Kind of shambling zombie-like feel. The miniatures designers have done an amazing job on these guys. You can kind of see almost like their kind of entrails hanging out in some of the cabling and stuff. They've got a kind of very kind of living dead kind of feel to them.
Alright, I like that.
Undeath and endless reanimations has not necessarily been kind to the humble Necron warrior.
It's been a long time, right? So 60 million years doesn't. But, you know, they've aged.
Now it's 60 million years.
Yeah,
it used
a
to
lot
be
of people
6 million years.
Sort of discussing the sort of the jacked up look of these guys. You know, they've got dented faces, smashed out eye lenses, that sort of thing. For me, I think this adds to the sort of essential horror element that really.
I do actually really like them. The more I'm looking at them, the more I'm liking them. They got rid of that stupid peg.
Absolutely brilliant.
And one of the things, again, you might have seen in the video is obviously there's different ranks of Necron warriors, and these guys being like the lowest of the low, their repair mechanisms are not functioning as well as some of the others.
This wire is driving me absolutely crazy because it is sitting in the worst spot ever, and it's tickling me.
Yeah. They've got the economy version of reanimation protocol technology, I suppose.
Exactly that. Exactly.
And that makes sense.
There's plenty more where they came from, right? So,
sure, of course.
The Necron overlords are not the most caring of masters.
I'm loving the little scarabs on a couple of those bases as well. Just
they're
poking out from behind the feet.
Oh, look at a tiny scarab. That's so adorable. Wait, can I actually poke them? Can I poke them?
They're fabulous. You alluded to them being a slightly different colour, Adam. They're indeed a different dynasty.
It's cool to see some of their armored plates are actually broken off on some of them. I wonder if you can take them off of all of them. Then we can get more of a skeletal look.
I can't wait. I'm not sure we can delve too far down that rabbit hole without one blowing up the universe and two.
This kind of sucks because I spent a lot of money on my Necrons and they just got replaced before I even sent them out to be painted.
In the video, the big brand trader we watched,
that's fine.
There were a whole bunch of different Necrons. Yeah, right. So what's the deal there?
They come in different sizes.
Love it.
As we were talking about with the Marines, you know, this is the first of things. This isn't. We're not just doing Necron warriors. There are other things. Some of those other things appeared in that video, but not all. So yes, if your favourite thing from the trailer, you will be able to bring to the tabletop or something.
All right, so all of those things are getting models.
So, a question that I saw fly by, and I wouldn't mind just asking for the benefit of the room, is what happens to my codex? You know, I've got Codex Dark Angels, I've got a lovely Dark Angels army.
They're obsolete.
What does that mean for me?
So one of the things we worked really hard with this edition is to make sure that all of those books stay current. So obviously, as we
said the same thing with last editions.
You know, the Psychic Awakening books, we still haven't released them all yet. And the Psychic Awakening books were all written with the new edition in mind, as were our codexes. So carry on using your Dark Angels codex. Eddie can use his Ork codex.
Until they get replaced.
I'm still putting my Genestealer Cult army together using the Genestealer Cult codex. They'll all work in the new edition.
And from a conversation I had with Pete Foley yesterday, he was saying that all of Psychic Awakening has definitely been written with this new edition in mind. So it's not just
that's good.
compatible;
that's good.
It's deliberately designed to accommodate the new edition.
Yeah, Psychic Awakening is effectively the prequel to this edition.
Just like Gathering Storm was the prequel to 7th edition or 8th edition.
The new edition and all the rules content has effectively been put in place to enable everybody to jump straight into the new edition.
No, what I'm going to be sad about
have loads
is
of fun with
once they replace the codexes,
Very
we
good.
lose quite a few units.
All right, so there's a crazy question on my list of questions that has Eddie's hallmark all over it. It says, will the Necrons be able to conquer the galaxy before the Tyranids eat it? Or will Chaos turn into a giant
The question
war
everyone's
bomb?
asking.
It is the question everyone's asking, and I guess the answer to that is like, well, let's wait and see. You know, the universe is a big place, and as we said in the video, you know, the humankind is beset by dangers on all fronts. I think it's up to those of us with Space Marine armies to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, good luck to them. No, go on.
I was going to say, as you saw in the video, it doesn't always end well. There were quite a few horrible grisly deaths. It's a bad time to be a guardsman, I think.
Have you ever
I
thought...
don't think it's ever been a good time to be a guardsman, to be honest. It's very difficult to pick a moment in the 41st World
Gaunt's
War
Ghost, guardsmen are like A-tier
to be a
experts at
There
everything.
was maybe a point
Everything
back in the,
else,
you know,
guardsmen
the
are
Trump,
just
stages
paper
of the
thin
Great
garbage.
Crusade, when you probably felt like it was a glorious time, at least, to be a guardsman. You know, you're like, well, we're winning, everything's going fine. You know, the Imperial Army is trampling the Xenos out of the galaxy, and then Horus makes a terrible choice. The one-eyed lunatic decides to go space fishing, and the rest is history. Poor old Astra Militarum.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so auxilia, but yes.
On the trailer and Necron weapons in general, that bit where the guy gets like hit square in the face and just dissolves. I've had many a conversation. Sorry, I'm waving one of my Warhammer 40,000 pop figures like a totem. One of the questions I've often had is, what's the effect of gore slayers and, you know, gory.
They explain this in 3rd
So
edition
now
Codex. What they do
literally
is they
get dissolved, that is
deatomize
pretty
and
rad.
pull in the animals. Kind of like
Definitely,
how a
it's
lightning
great
bolt
481
starts out
there,
on the
isn't it?
ground and works its way up, and then the bolt of lightning actually comes down from
Yeah,
it.
oh dear.
That's the
Yeah,
same
I've
with the
poked
Necron
you,
weapons.
yeah,
They're
some people
essentially
actually
glorified vacuum cleaners.
I like Magnus.
Well, you're wrong.
You can find out all about this in the 3rd edition Necron Codex.
It's one of the arguments that will never stop, is which Primarch was the best, which Legion is the best. The
Well, Lionel
answer is there
Johnson,
in the little list.
Dark
Number
Angels.
1, Dark Angels.
For
the
the
rest are number
Loyalists,
I
for
thought it was
the
inverse order.
Chaos, it's
No.
Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children.
Yeah, apparently it's not a good time to be a guardsman, and somebody said it's always a good time to be a guardsman.
I agree with that
I
statement.
mean, there's plenty of bayonet charges in the future. If that's what you're living for, then you're going to have the opportunity.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay, so I'll take a couple more questions out of the chat if anybody throws something good up in there. Otherwise, we can move on to the next section.
There's more.
Nobody
Adam,
asked
what's in my
questions, I
cup?
just wanna say
I have a officially licensed Inquisition mug. It's my favourite mug in the whole world. So I think it's super rad.
Drinking out of a
It's also the mug that no one
cup like
expected.
this.
Right?
Nice.
And on the back
Because
it
all of my
says,
stuff
although
is
today
packed up
everything we told you
currently,
is the truth.
except for my
Says
green
everything
screen
we
and
told you is a lie.
my
And I
studio
dishwashed
setup,
it, so
and
it's
that's
always
it.
there, but when I first got it, it would change colour with hot water. I'm not sure that's why we're here today, though. Thanks for the question. Some of the questions are quite silly. Somebody says, what did you miss? Well, if you are just joining us, first of all, welcome. It's lovely to have you. You haven't missed anything, because it will all exist on the Warhammer community website when we're done, and you can rewatch this entire stream when we're completed. But what you have joined, more importantly, is the big Warhammer 40,000 preview, where we have announced the coming of the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 with an amazing trailer showing Space Marines and Sisters Battle and some
I'm
War
still
Guardsmen
not sold on a
fighting
new
in
edition
epic
because
battle
they're not
against Necrons.
talking about it.
We've shown a brand new Primaris Assault
Like, what
Intercessor
are
who
the
looks
rules
a
for this
bomb.
edition?
We've
Is
shown
it Apocalypse?
Creepy, Necron warriors.
Because if it is
and we're
Apocalypse,
getting ready to do a jump in a moment
that
into
sucks.
the next topic.
Like,
which connects
Apocalypse
to
is...
everything we've just
I get
talked
it,
about
it's
in a
okay,
really
it's
interesting
fun,
and
but
compelling way.
it doesn't
Eddie,
feel like
anything you would add
40k.
before we
It
make
feels
the
like a
next
different
jump?
game altogether.
No, I don't think so. Really, I think
I'm really
it's worth
hoping
saying
it's
if you are joining us and
7th
you didn't
edition
yet get a chance
plus.
to watch the new
Or 8th
cinematic
edition
trailer for
plus.
Warhammer 40,000, it will be up on the community site and on YouTube now, so you can watch it. And I'm sure we'll find an opportunity to show it later in the stream as well. So if you don't want to miss anything, stay tuned. We'll have more, and you can find it all later on if you need to.
Yeah. You don't need to go anywhere. We're going to be showing you loads more cool stuff, and it will all exist when we're done. Right. Speaking of that jump that we mentioned before, Ben Bailey has racked up the next video. Thank you, Stu, for joining us. We'll see you
Sorry,
again
just trying
shortly,
to
I
keep
would
up with
hope.
everything.
Hit the button, Ben.
What else do we got? Again, still has that same like RoboCop feel to it, which I like. Don't get me wrong, I actually like that. Some tales define a universe. The Horus Heresy. Maybe it'll go to 8th edition. Some tales change the course of history. Ooh, wait, what? Oh. Dawn of Fire. Huh. Interesting. That's just a novel, but I was kind of hoping that there was an edition change for Horus Heresy.
Adam Trope.
That'd have been much cooler.
Eddie Eccles, and we are delighted to welcome you back again to the Warhammer 40,000 preview. We just watched a pretty awesome trailer, Eddie. What do you know?
Right, so Dawn of Fire, it is a brand new series coming from Black Library. And it's from the teams that brought you series like the Horus Heresy and from the Beast Arises, and loads of other great stories like that. But very excitingly, this is one that's going to tie in intrinsically to the new edition. So if you are a lore fan of Warhammer 40,000 and you like Black Library books, or even if you're lore curious and you want to know more, this is going to be a great place for you to start.
It's like bi-curious, but interested in lore.
And I believe we've racked up a special guest via the medium of the internet to tell us more about it. Guy Haley is the author of that first book in the Dawn of Fire series, and because he lives in the wilds of Yorkshire somewhere and a steady internet connection is not a possibility, we have a special interview with him, which we will now show you, and then we'll be right back.
The Dawn of Fire series is the first part of a series.
He looks like an aging, like...
Indomitus era.
Who's that one dude?
Basically,
the
story of the Indomitus Crusade. Very much in the same way that we covered the Horus Heresy as a massive, multi-arc, multi-author, huge epic that delved into the mythology and the background and the detail and the personalities and the events of Warhammer 40,000. This series aims to do very much the same thing. However, it's set in the contemporary universe of 40k as it stands
so it's just
now,
Crusade,
rather than as a historical event, which the Horus Heresy
and
was. We're doing a number of
Dark Imperium
interesting
novels.
projects at Black Library right now, and one of the things we've been doing is that we've been getting writers in to perform a role called lead writer. It means that there's one person who takes sort of not creative charge, but has a slightly elevated amount of creative input into the whole process. Nick Kime, who's the managing editor at Black Library and also a Black Library author of No Small Talent, and myself are running the series. However,
should be like Aaron
we
Dinsky
are
Bowden.
running like a writer's room, like we did with the Horus Heresy, so there's lots of familiar names involved.
I personally think that
lots
he
of writers,
captures the
there's lots
40k
of
universe a
input
little
and,
bit better.
Their own ideas being injected into that. And, you know, to me, that's what made the Horus Heresy work so well, was that it's the agglomeration of so many creative minds.
Actually,
looking at this
there's a lot of inconsistencies in the Horus Heresy novels.
On the high level, because this is unlike the Horus Heresy, it's not a historic event, it's to a certain extent ongoing. We don't have we didn't have a story arc. So I had to look at it from the sort of like the top-down level and try to develop a story arc that would encompass the entire Indomitus Crusade and would feed into all those great mythic sort of themes of the Empire, the Emperor versus Chaos, and the deep time of the 40k universe, stretching back to the War in Heaven and what's actually happening now. And
oh good, they're rewriting the War in Heaven. There's only 7 different versions of that story.
All those great weighty...
There actually is, and all of them are different.
Miserable 40k themes that we all love to explore over and over and again. But everyone knows that the Horus Heresy is sort of like the myth of the Imperium. It is basically the founding story of the Imperium. But with this, the major difference is that, this is an exciting new territory. For us as writers, because we've had an awful lot of space and room to create new incidents and a new history, really. It's more than that, it's creating a new history.
Let's hope Ben Cameron isn't on
I think
this
the
at
most
all.
exciting thing, maybe one of the most exciting things for fans of Warhammer 40,000 is that you don't know the ending of this, right? Everybody knows the ending of Horus Heresy, but nobody knows what the ending of this is going to be. Nobody knows how this story is going to unfold. And I think that's a really, really cool and exciting journey to go on, you know. And even for me, I know what the overarching plot is that we're going to go for. But there's going to be so much stuff that comes into that and fills it out and takes it off an interesting, exciting direction. So even for me, who's deeply involved in it, right from the ground up, it's going to be a journey of discovery, and it's going to be really exciting. the Dawn of Fire series is the first part of a series which will look at the Indomitus era, the era Indomitus. So it's basically this.
Well, thank you, the internet projected voice of Guy Haley, and welcome back to the chat, everybody. I'm still Adam Troke, still in the Eccles, and we're joined now by Nick Kime, who is word wrangler to the gods, Black Library editor supremo, and heavily involved in the new Dawn of Fire series. Welcome to the chat.
Thanks for having me.
So, what can you tell us beyond what Guy has already really eloquently explained?
Well, it's a huge new series.
So does this take place after the Indominus Crusade, during the Indominus Crusade, or is it currently like the new books where they jump around the points, or kind of like the Psychic Awakening, which starts at multiple points?
What's really exciting about it, amongst many things, is that it's set in contemporary 40k. It's a huge, sprawling cast of characters, some of which will be familiar to our readers, like Rebute Gulliman, of course, and Belisarius Paul, who are very much the sort of poster boys of the new Imperium.
The Archer attack, I love him.
Of new characters from all different walks of Imperial life. We'll see Inquisitors, Primaris, Space Marines, of course.
God, I hope they do justice to the Inquisitors.
All kinds of fleet captains, and even the sort of lowly Imperial citizen. The great thing about the series, even given its epic nature and the sort of the sheer ambition that we've got for it in terms of the story and the kind of things we want to cover, and also the deep lore that we're really going to kind of dig into, is that it comes in at all different stratas of Imperial life to give you a really good picture as to how the Indomitus Crusade kind of came about, some of the difficulties that Gulliman faced, even with his superlative sort of knowledge and abilities that only a
Alright, that's pretty cool.
possibly have, and the challenges of launching and maintaining something, a crusade this size.
Bring back Battlefield Gothic, I agree with that. That's what the chat's saying.
The time of the Emperor, and obviously his brother Primarch. So it's huge. It picks up on such massive beats, massive thematic beats that are really the sort of narrative underpinning of the 40k of the now.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. I like the scope and depth of it. I wondered if you could tell us what your role in the project is specifically.
Oh, okay. Well, as the sort of Black Library managing editor, it falls to me to help sort of run the series really, and alongside Guy. Now, this is slightly different to how we'd run a normal kind of series through EPL, and we've done a lot of those over the years. A lot of series that have included writers' rooms, like the Horus Heresy, like the Beast Arises. Guy's role in this is lead writer, sort of lead creative, and I'm the editorial part of that partnership, also providing creative input. So it's my job.
Kind of sounds like he's doing nothing.
Bring all the authors together to lay out what the major narrative beats are going to be, together with Guy. We've worked very closely together on this project, and actually have worked together for many years, and really just make sure everything runs smoothly, and we keep surprising and delighting our fans with each novel and each new reveal.
Here's what they should do. Also, that's hilarious in chat.
So that the Dawn of Fire
what they should do is put specific writers on one type of project. That way the lore is consistent.
Sorry, Eddie, go on.
That way we don't get things like xenology, which makes absolutely no sense to the overall arcing story of 40k.
Series like the Horus Heresy and the Beast Arises. And I think one of the things I'm excited for with this one particularly is with those stories, even though the how was a little bit up for grabs, the end result of the series was never in doubt. You know, Horus is going to face the Emperor. The Imperium's still there 8,000 years later after the Beast Arises, so you know only so much can happen. But I think what I'm excited to see with this one is that we just don't know where the story. I mean, you do, but we don't know where the story's going to go. We don't know where the kind of narrative of this is going to take us. So having a contemporary story is really exciting.
All bets rough.
Yeah, and I think there's
hey,
something
maybe
really
you guys can kill a character or two. That'd be cool.
In line with that narrative that's
like certain characters that are pretty much meaningless to the story overall. You know, like Lucius the Eternal.
Like the ongoing narrative to my favourite story of all time is very exciting.
It's fantastic, and it gives us a chance to really kind of be reactive to some of the changes.
The chat is hilarious
some
right
of
now.
the awesome stuff that
There's a
is
bunch
being
of trolls
revealed
in the
today
chat
about the new edition and some of the lore that's going to come with that. We'll get to articulate that through these novels in a really exciting and engaging
I really
way.
need to,
That will
ban these
hopefully
guys.
surprise and delight all of our fans.
Fantastic. Ben is whispering in my ear that we have another segment coming. Nick, it has been lovely having you come and join us and talk about the Dawn of Fire series for a little bit.
I feel like you ultimately didn't answer
There'll be loads more of
anything.
this revealed in the run-up to its release.
Oh my god, that is
we look forward to
hilarious.
speaking more to you in due time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you. Everybody will be back right after this relatively unexciting holding screen with talk about rules.
Ooh. That's the thing that I actually care about. All right. So ultimately, that interview did nothing. It just told us, hey, I'm working on new book. We're both working on new books. Oh my freaking god, these... We need to stop these. These are hilarious. They're poor mods. They're poor mods. Alright. 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 This is fine. This is going good. This is going good. So, ultimately, it felt like they didn't answer anything about that, aside from saying... aside from Guy Haley and Nick Heim basically just saying, we're working on a new series, there's a bunch of underlings under us now, and we get the ultimate name on the book. Which is cool, that's fine, but it feels a little bit... Like, I don't want to say silly, but it feels kind of forced, if that makes sense. I don't know. And I don't think GW has the heart to actually kill some of these characters off. They'll probably do what they did in the Gathering Storm and create Space Marine chapters just to kill them.
Welcome back, everybody.
So I'm hoping they don't do that
Eddie
and
Eccles is still
actually
with
do
me.
something
And now
like
we are joined by
heartfelt.
a special guest to our preview show, Mike Brandt, who is joining us all the way from the United States of America via the miracle of technology. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
It's really exciting to be on with you guys. How are y'all doing?
Yeah, good.
Doing good?
I'm enjoying this so much.
I was so excited to have you, Mike. I even brought my special Washington DC mug.
I love it.
Only one of the best cities.
So
that's not true.
those of you
Clearly
who maybe haven't met Mike before or heard of him, or many of you will know exactly who he is. Mike is maybe best known for running the Nova Open, which is an enormous and awesome gaming convention out in Washington DC, and he's been an integral part for a few years now in playtesting Warhammer 40,000, and so we volunteered him, or he volunteered himself, one of those two, to come and to talk to us a little bit. First of all, Mike, tell us what you do when it comes to playtesting.
So it's interesting. We started playtesting maybe 4 years ago now, almost, for 8th edition, and it's been super exciting to see all the time what the design studio comes up with. I think as hobbyists, we all came in with our own ideas about how the game was designed and whatnot, only to find out how amazing those guys are about it and how passionate they are about putting forth a really epic game for everybody. And first on, I think playtesting was just a lot of people with a lot of experience playing the game and a lot of opinions. That's only but
I actually know
survived.
quite a
But
few
as
of the
we
playtesters.
were approached to start joining the design team as they were putting together the next best edition of 40K.
One is right up here in New York. Can't say
Playtesting
who.
has evolved as well, and it's really fascinating. It includes a lot of different people. It includes people who are obsessed with the narrative and the storyline side of the game. It includes folks who care a lot about the balance of the game and sort of everyone in
It should
between
pretty
on the
much only
spectrum.
consist of
And
people
so
who want balance of the
we
game.
meet on a regular basis. We provide feedback to all the awesome stuff they put together. It's just really exciting to see, how they engage with the community to make sure that the product they're putting out is actually reflective of what we all care about and put forward.
That sounds great. So what elements in particular did you guys as playtesters put attention on when you were playtesting the rules for this new edition?
So it depended on the tester, of course. A lot of us cared a lot about making sure that the rules and mechanics, and the design team really wanted to hear this from us, reflected the actual way you imagine that the units would behave. So the game, I think, due to their efforts and the feedback from playtesting, is more flavorful and more narratively fulfilling than ever before. And then I think we all
I can agree
want
with
to try
that.
and make that reflected in the missions and the terrain rules and everything else as well, so that when people were playing the game, they had an experience that was both as balanced as it's ever been, but also as narratively and aesthetically fulfilling as it's ever been. Because the studio always seeks not to create a game that's one or the other, but one where you can play, the Warhammer story and feel like it's a really fun, fair, exciting experience in the tabletop as well. So we really focused on that element of connecting the two, the story and the feel, with a gameplay experience that's balanced and enjoyable.
I can fully agree with that.
So all of that comes together. What are you most excited to see as a result of your testing in the Games of 40K for the future?
Well, anyone who knows me knows I'm a nerd about missions.
You really are.
Super, I can't stop talking about them. But I'm super excited about the missions and just about the ecosystem that Warhammer 40,000's newest edition presents for the player base. I think, I hope you'll see a situation where, thanks to the work that the studio's put in on it, more people than ever before are experiencing and enjoying the same Warhammer 40,000 all over the world, and really experiencing the coolest version ever. And that goes to missions and things like that as well. So I'm most excited to see those and to see how the community reacts.
I hope there's like 12 to 20 missions in the book.
Touch on that I wouldn't mind digging into, which is in the games that I've played over the years internationally, you often find that things are interpreted or used differently, despite the fact that there's one rule set from which it all descends. What's your take on the sort of the way that different different tournaments and things implement missions and things like that?
Well, having run tournaments in the past, I've often used my own missions, and many tournaments have been the same historically. And again, we've all been involved in playtesting, and the studio's been pretty remarkable in how they
ITC changes depending on what missions you're at. LVO has different missions. Adepticon has different missions, and Nova has different missions. They're all completely separate from each other, but play with a similar rule set.
What's cool about the results of all that work that they've put in is that we may see, cross our fingers, that when you go to different tournaments and things like that, in the future edition of 40K, everyone will be consuming not just the best and coolest version of the game possible, not just the best missions they've ever seen, but all very similar missions and fields. So I think some of that situation where the game played in Europe is different from the game played in
It would actually be cool if GW just adopted the ITC and actually fully supported it, as well as with Battlescribe, which are two things that they desperately should get.
I think there's something nice about that, and in recent years, the Warhammer community generally feels like it's come together more. It feels like you now have a universal kind of global community rather than having kind of pockets of hobbyists around the world. And I think the internet's been a big part of that, but also the kind of re-engagement with the concept of playtesting and kind of bringing you guys all together to make the single best game.
Well, and you guys, let's give credit where it's due. The Warhammer community team has been pretty awesome at building a community.
Yeah, Warhammer community has been super good.
I'll take it. To be honest, it's just an honour to be part of. So, there's also some exciting news, which I will break to the world, if you don't mind, which is something that maybe very few people know, is that you've actually recently joined the Warhammer community team to run our events for us. And you'll be championing Warhammer gaming events around the world in the future.
That is true. It is kind of surreal. It's sort of a dream come true. A very unexpected situation, but super exciting. And I'm super excited to be part of the team, and also to, sort of like we were just talking about, sort of expand the ecosystem of Warhammer all around the world, so that more people are playing more Warhammer more often and sort of enjoying it in every way. The way that they paint, the way that they
guys don't know who
enjoy narrative
Mike
experiences,
is,
the way that they can
he's
engage with the story. And
legit just a good guy. Like, he donates pretty much everything from Nova to charities.
Sort of all over the world.
I try to go to Nova as often as I can.
The chat is full of people saying congratulations, and I couldn't agree more. Having attended the event that you organised in Washington DC, I don't think I've ever felt more a family community feel and event in my life. It's amazing, and I can't wait for you to share that on a global.
These poor mods that are on here have to
part
be super quick.
Official Warhammer community events going forward. I'm super hyped to have you on board and in that chair, Mike. So congratulations and thank you for joining us.
I actually do think that you'd make an excellent addition to the team.
We have more rules talk coming down the pipe in just a minute. we're going to be bringing back in the studio staff. So Pete Foley, head of the Book and Box Game Studio, and Stu Black, head of Warhammer 40,000, where we're going to talk about some rules. But just one question, a little seed, if I may. I've heard rumours that you're also helping work with our team on a new Warhammer 40,000 app.
The rumors are true, then, that you've heard.
Finally.
I've definitely jumped in on that. I know that the idea of a 40k app has been talked about before, but we will have one for the release of the new edition.
And it's actually just Battlescribe.
You can guess at some of the things that will have, and I'll bet you can't guess at some of the super cool features that we'll have down the road, but certainly the most obvious one is you'll be able to use it to engage with building armies and experiencing the new ways that 9th edition affects that. I'm super excited to share it. It's really cool.
Strictly hoping it's Battlescribed.
Nice.
It'd be really cool.
And it's
Very
free.
good. Eddie, anything you want to say before the jump?
No, just to kind of give my own congratulations as well to Mike. I think we're all excited to see where Warhammer events go under your stewardship. And I've been to your event Nova as well in Washington DC, and I thought it was a great event. So I can't wait to see things like that rolled out all over the world.
I can't wait to do them with you guys.
Right, thank you everybody for staying with us. It's been great so far, and there's more still to come. We're going to have a short video, and after that, we'll welcome back the stewards of Warhammer 40,000.
They really need to ban these accounts that are just trolling them.
Hit the button.
Hello and good day. My name is Games Workshop, and I am here to tell you, yes,
So cringy.
9 great things about the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Are you ready? You had better be. Now strap yourself in and let us begin. I love it when it rhymes. 1. Warhammer 40,000 has been polished to perfection.
That's
Thousands
not
of
true.
hours of feedback and innovation have refined the game you love into a gaming experience as smooth as a Necron's shiny head. 2. The most immersive system for narrative play ever! The all-new Crusade system links your games. Earn battle honors, experience,
that's just
and new
Apocalypse.
rules for your army. It's time to toughen up, kid.
They
Take
literally
your
did
recruits from
this edition
green
and nobody
to
knows
me.
about it.
3. Everyone loves command points, so now everyone gets more. Expect less soup and more super soldiers.
Could we not?
Tanks are back on track. Your armored behemoth's been getting bogged down by pesky horrid grots or squishy gaunts. No more. Tanks can shoot in combat. Blast foes at point.
Finally!
And keep on.
Land Raiders might be useful.
5. Terrain's been rebuilt from the ground up. Want to defend a building getting bonuses while you do? Absolutely. Want to sneak up on your opponent using terrain to block their line of sight? We've got you covered. Want to run screaming at your opponent with your chainsword raised and a hymn to the Emperor on your lips? Not completely relevant to this section of the video, but also, yes. 6. Warhammer 40,000 at every size of game. From lunch break combat patrols with your new army to crushing your friends beneath the iron boots of your full collection. We have balanced the scales. 7.
Alright.
Tactical power at your fingertips. Strategic reserves have changed, allowing you to strike your enemies from all angles. Think you're the cleverest general among your friends? Time to prove it, sunshine. Hit 'em where it hurts. 8. Big guns never tire, and firepower feels great. Explosive weapons deal maximum hits to hordes as they swarm across the battlefield. So
So
bring
it's
your
Apocalypse.
favorite guns to the party and get the job done. It's time to have a blast. 9. Aircraft take flight. Soar across the battlefield, ignore intervening models, and return for another attack run. It's time for aircraft to feel aircrafty. Pew pew noise is optional, but highly recommended.
Yeah, of course it's
New
going to be
Warhammer
pew-pew
40,000
noises.
coming soon. Pew pew.
Okay, so there's a lot there.
Hello everybody, and welcome back. I'm still Adam Troke. I'm still joined by Eddie Eccles, and we welcome back to the Warhammer 40,000 preview once again. Pete Foley, mega boss of the Warhammer Studios Book and Box Game area, and the High Lord of Warhammer 40,000 himself, Stu Black. Welcome back to the chat, guys.
Thanks for having us back.
Hey.
We just saw a video that ran through the 9 great things. Eddie, can you take us through those and talk, maybe quiz the guys.
So what I'm thinking is they're going to do
Absolutely.
the ITC
So,
rules
the
for
first of those
terrain
points that
where
we saw
the
is
first
that,
level
this
is
is the
just
game
line
that
of
you
sight
love, but
blocking.
better, but with concise and clearer core rules. So, guys, tell us a little bit about what that means.
Okay, so
wonderful talk. So we went back and looked at all the places that the core rules were causing confusion, and just took the opportunity to just really go through them and make sure that they were as crisp, as concise, as clean as they possibly could be, so we can remove any of that interpretation or anything out of them, and just smooth the whole process out of playing a game of Warhammer 40,000. And I think the guys have done a terrific job. Everything from the way it's written to the way it's presented in the rulebook is all designed to make it as easy as possible to engage with the rules.
It just does feel like they took the core mechanics from the new Apocalypse system that came out this edition that absolutely no one plays, by the way, and put them into this new edition.
The way that we've kind of presented it.
So I wouldn't be surprised if units don't die until the end of phase.
It's the game you love, but better. So all your current books still all work. So we've written this with the Psychic Awakening and the Codexes in mind. So you'll still be able to play on day one with your existing book collection, but you'll have an even better experience than you have done in the past.
Great stuff. So the second point there was about Crusade, which I think we touched on a couple of times. So it's a brand new way to play narrative play and to link your games together. So
I hope people use this because
it
is a cool mechanic, but I've never seen anybody.
Sure. Again, one of the. So I'll always talk first. Let's.
Good plan, Pete. Good plan. Let's go with that.
So right from the off, one of the things we really wanted to make better with this edition was narrative play. I think
because nobody
Crusade
played
is going to be a really exciting addition to that, where you start your Crusade force at kind of a small requisition point level, and then every game that you play will matter to your models. They'll get better. They'll get injured. They'll have new stories to tell. There's a whole range of new missions and things.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Every faction as we roll through will have unique ways of interacting with Crusade, and you can play your Crusade against any of your friends. Whether they're
I hope they cap CP
or armies or narrative or joining you on their Crusade. Your Crusade can kind of interact with theirs and carry on, and basically every game you play, every model you collect, every model you paint will be part of your Crusade
storyline. The narrative is fun and
forward.
everything, but I want to know what's actually going to affect the games I play.
Show everyone it. It's going to be so much fun.
Stu, anything to add?
Yeah, it's probably one of the things that we have, as Mike alluded to earlier. We tried to make sure that this is the most kind of match play ready edition.
But
then we also really wanted to delve into that narrative play. I think a lot of us come from that kind of background and way of playing, that we want our armies to be personal to us, and we want our characters to become characters as you play with them, and it's given us some really interesting rule space to play with. We as Pete alluded to, as we come across different factions, we'll build on the Crusade content in the core offer, and we'll do stuff bespoke for each faction. My favourite example is, if your Space Marine character gets too badly wounded over time, you can upgrade him to a Dreadnought because it's time for him to be interred in a sarcophagus. All those kind of things that you'd read about in the background of 40k, you'll be able to do with
poor Lazarus, he was too wounded for a Dreadnought, so they put him through the Rubicon Primaris.
New way of approaching that.
Because reasons.
Great stuff. So the next point was about command points and generating command points, and generally the split of how many command points there are across the game has changed quite a lot.
I'm worried about.
Any kind of how does that work?
So one of the things that we really wanted to, that we kind of learned from 8th edition was command points are great. Stratagems are brilliant fun. One of the funnest parts of playing 40k, but the way that you generated command points was causing the way you build your list to be a little bit skewing away from what you wanted
minimum
to do.
units,
and, unnecessarily
maximum brigades,
factions that were better fielded on their own. So we've kind of flipped that around a little bit, so that collecting from one codex will generate using command points, and then you'll unlock more codexes by using command points rather than the other way around. So it's kind of flipped on its head, and keep everybody nice and on a level playing field, whether you're playing with one book or you're dabbling with lots of different factions.
Yeah. I think a common thing a lot of people seen, especially in like more competitive armies, was that 3 units of troops at minimum cost, and then 2 characters.
Yes. Battalion.
The good old almost 32.
Yeah, almost like a given.
Well, 32.
Yeah, exactly. And as Pete said, particularly kind of elite-heavy armies, things like Adeptus Custodes, often kind of struggled to be able to use all the cool stuff that was in their codex, just because of the way that their command points were kind of generated.
Please cap the command points.
So it's based more on the size game that you're playing, and then
that I like. Just say like 5 command points per like 1,000 points. I'd be cool.
To take other detachments, you can spend some on stratagems, but you're in control of how you spend them. But if you and I were playing a game, Eddie, we'd be starting from the same place in terms of that resource.
That's
so
cool.
I think it really does encourage those kind of themed armies.
Okay. No, I like that.
That people like.
How's Inquisition going to work with that?
Great. I'm just conscious of time. We're going to crack on.
Yeah.
So there was a note there about tanks. So firing from combat and not getting bogged down by lesser enemies. What does that mean in practice?
Pretty much what you've said there. Surely the thing we've heard a lot of is people were getting very frustrated when a grot tags their tank. You can't do that anymore in quite the same way. So
the tank will kill you.
And then shoot something else as well.
Cool, great. I think obviously people with tank armies
what do you
will be
mean
very
by that?
Pleased to hear that.
Does that mean the tank can target
we've
another
heard,
unit
some
while in
terrain
combat?
rules sound like they're going to change in a fundamental way.
Because that's
Any kind of
huge.
hints at what that might bring to the game?
That is huge.
Yeah, so I think one of the drives of 8th edition was to try and sort of streamline everything down. One of the places where we think we overstepped that a little bit,
it's Apocalypse.
almost too streamlined, was the terrain rules, and we got a lot of feedback about that. And we've spent a lot of time working with with the games developers, but also working.
I really
outside
hope
with people
monsters can attack the second floor now
to help make terrain have a bigger impact on the game, so that it matters more. So there's a better system for the way that your terrain will interact with line of sight, with cover, with things like that. That will really help it have a much bigger impact.
But what about a knight attacking a third floor?
Beautiful battlefields as well. That
or Carnifex attacking the second floor?
Yeah, it ties into what you said earlier, Eddie, when you asked about, is it a good time to have close combat stuff? And the more impact terrain has on the battlefield, the easier it is for your guys to get across the board, still being alive. And so this one does really kind of help combat troops out quite a bit.
Cool. My Orks will thank you, I'm quite sure.
So shooting armies will hugely benefit
one of
from
the things
this
that was
too.
pointed out in there was this being a very accessible game with different sizes of battlefield. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
Again, so building on what you've just said there, Eddie, I think what we wanted to do was make there to be really fun to play smaller games of 40k as well as your kind of standard 2,000 point game, and so we kind of picked out some various sizes
all night and watch the Overwatch League up until 8 in the morning.
Through, and then focus on really making each one of them really good. So you can comfortably play a game in an hour on your coffee table rather than it always having to be 4 hours in your garage or in your dining room. But it'd be just as fun. It's still the 40k experience. It's written.
So you balance kill team.
It's not just a stripped down version or a sanitized, simpler version. It's actually just a really fun way of playing 40k, but in an hour, and then in a couple of hours, and then in an afternoon, and then in a whole day, and you can jump in between them as you feel.
Great stuff. So the next point was on strategic reserves. So this sounds like a change to the way that maybe reinforcements will arrive. What does that look like?
I'm so glad that I'm sitting right here and blocking some of the chat.
There's two things about strategic reserves, really. One is we wanted a way for you to protect some of your stuff until your opponents had a chance to shoot. So you'll be able to deploy units in strategic reserve that you haven't been able to in the past, and then bring them on in your turn. So it kind of gives them an opportunity to.
Okay,
be
I like
alive.
that. I like that a lot because that reminds me of 6th and 7th edition, where you would just hold multiple units in reserve and then bring them on later on.
And it really helps it feel more like a kind of modern combat engagement rather than two armies that have lined up opposite each other. Was the feel we were trying to get across.
Great. And then the 8th point there was about blast weapons. So this sounds like good news for anyone with maybe Lemarusses or Imperial Knights or nice big cannons.
Yeah, and less good news for Orks, I'm afraid, Eddie.
Oh, there had to be. I guess there had to be some bad
Hey,
news
look,
in amongst it.
let's nerf the Tyranids again. We couldn't have them win anything in Psychic Awakening, or anything in 8th and 7th edition lore, or 6th edition. Tyranids haven't won a major battle yet, by the way.
Those kind of things, whirlwinds, those kind of things now do the job that they're supposed to do, which is shoot lots of infantry.
And I suppose it helps differentiate them from some of the just like high number of shots weapons that otherwise just were previously just better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So the last point there was a slight change to the way that flyer rules are going to work.
So they're going back to the 6th edition flyer rules.
Steve.
Okay, so
already giggling.
A couple of things about that. So planes in 40k in the past have sometimes led to some slightly odd scenarios because of the way the game works. You can't move through their bases, and you end up in weird places where you're like, I can't move my men because there's an aeroplane in the sky, which is just kind of weird. So we've kind of reworked the way that planes work so that they interact with infantry a lot more satisfyingly, and they also can fly off the board and come back later on like strafing runs. So no longer do they die if they run out of tabletop, which again just felt a little bit strange that your plane would kind of crash into an invisible force field at the edge of the board. So we really wanted to.
But they actually
those,
had rules for flying off.
I can't stop chuckling about it when I think of the picture of the world of this little aeroplane. Fantastic. We've talked about these 9 things, and they sound like really interesting sort of steps forward and sort of evolutionary moves to improve Warhammer 40,000. And we talked a little bit a minute ago with Mike Brandt, who you both know, about how we got involved in the playtesting, and then we hinted a little at the Warhammer 40,000 app. And I wondered, from your point of view, what there was maybe you could say about the Warhammer 40,000 app and what that means for like fans, collectors, hobbyists.
Well, I think it's going to. I mean, the new app is amazing, so it will certainly change the way people interact with their codex and interact with their game when they're playing it.
Actually, no, make it better than that. Just have the entirety of the codex in it.
Exactly what it does.
That way you can pull it up like...
One of the things it will really help with is building armies.
Worm hordes, where you can pull up their entire stat sheet.
Access all that content through the app and quickly build a new army.
Also say it's free.
Stuff out. And it will track all sorts of things during the game too.
Right now, say it's free.
So that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, is just being able to.
You can afford the cost. Trust me, I keep an eye on that.
For 40k, it'd be great.
For me, that ability to organise my collection really nicely and then select those units and build a killer army for every game is the thing I'm most hyped about. I've got a lot of Dark Angels that need organising. Cool. Where are we at, Eddie?
So I think one last thing that's maybe worth saying just now is we're already seeing loads and loads of questions popping up in the chat, more than we could possibly answer today. So one of the things that we are going to do, just so you guys are aware, out there in the chat, is we will be having a kind of a longer Q&A session with some guys from the studio, possibly these 2 guys we're joined with right now, this Tuesday, coming up at 7 o'clock. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask,
probably watch that and do
we'll
a
be
reaction
posting up
video to that
tweet
as well.
on the Warhammer Community Twitter page, and you can respond with your questions to that, and then we'll pick the best of them and put them to a longer Q&A session so we can dive into some of the detail of the new edition.
Yeah, if you want to get involved in that, 7 p.m. BST on Tuesday, and you can fill your boots.
God, let's hope they don't bring back templates.
About
they're so bad.
The new edition of Warhammer 40,000 and the mysterious things that Pete has written on the board behind him. But I really hope you do well on your to-do list for the day. Point number 3 particularly means something to me.
Well, confirming. Well, I would like to confirm that despite everyone picking on Adam all day, the Dark Angels are the best.
Yes,
number one. Number one.
For loyalists.
Best Legion. Right.
First Legion, prototype Legion.
Broke the mold? Something like that? I don't know. Right.
Okay.
So, I am looking at my hymn sheet of next. What we're going to do is we are going to show the awesome Warhammer 40,000 brand trailer again one more time, and then we're going to come back for a roundup and a little bit more excitement. Thank you to you and Pete for joining us. It's been lovely having you give us a little bit more insight into the rules, and we can't wait to see you again for a deep dive on Tuesday evening.
Yeah, I'll see you all on Tuesday.
Cheers, everybody. Enjoy the video. We'll be right back.
See you next
In the darkness between the stars, the weak and the faithless find no deliverance.
This looks so good. That is so sick. I love it.
We are raised to believe that the God Emperor watches over us all.
She might want to use cover.
And so we are charged to cleanse the mutant, the heretic, the
It
alien.
looks so good. It looks so good.
We must not falter. We are his sword. We are his wrath.
Like, part of her shoulder pad
Even
just
in
got
the
cut
face
off.
of death, we shall not submit.
Part of her goddamn shoulder pad just got
Suffering is our prayer. Faith is our armor. In battle, he offers us redemption.
I'm surprised it didn't cut right through
And for
him.
those who prove worthy, the Emperor sends forth his angels.
I love that she doesn't even hesitate. She's just like, okay, perfect opportunity. Slice. Really get a scale of just how big the Primaris are.
Our Imperium is besieged. Across 1,000 worlds, we fight for our survival. Those that would tear humanity down are legion.
Heavy bolt pistol.
Our forces are few. Our enemies many. There is no respite. There is no mercy.
Those things are so
In
cool.
our darkest hour, a spiteful universe awakens forgotten evils to break us.
And I love that the Space Marine feels like he's fighting at like a 360 arc instead of just one at a time.
The galaxy
And the sister is
burns,
giving them cover fire.
Yet still we
Yes.
stand. The
Can we get a
last
bunch of sisters
bulwark
with close
against
combat
the
weapons,
terror.
please?
And while we draw breath, we will fight. For in this new dark age, there is only war.
Not gonna lie, I love that trailer. Like, that trailer is selling me on this. Like, oh my god, I love it.
We are back. I am still Adam Troke, although for a moment my name swapped over to the man who is also joining me, Eddie Eccles.
It's a great name.
It is a good name. I wouldn't have been ashamed at all. It's lovely. Welcome back, everybody. We have been through an amazing preview. We have seen so much stuff. There's one more exciting thing we want to talk about right now, and that is that the Warhammer 40,000 website has just launched. If you go over to warhammer40,000.com, you can see the home of Warhammer 40,000 online. Maybe stick with us for now. It will be there when we're done as well. This is the place where if you've ever got one of those friends who goes like, oh, what is this fight mallet that you're talking about? You can send them there to learn about Warhammer 40,000. In time, it will also evolve to become an amazing hub. We'll host that epic cinematic trailer that you just saw there, but it will grow to include brilliant, fully comprehensive how-to-play videos and a whole suite of extra things.
Yeah, absolutely. It is designed as a kind of great introduction to what.
I'm surprised
Warhammer
they didn't
40,000
show the
is and
Silent
kind of
King.
what the game and the setting is all about. But there's also plenty of stuff on there for you guys who already know all about Warhammer 40,000. It's well worth checking out the site because there's some Easter eggs hidden in amongst the sites that we haven't shown off in the preview today, but you can kind of stumble across yourselves.
It's like
if you
80
want to.
degrees in my house.
So
so I do apologize.
warhammer40,000.com. Nice and easy to remember.
Yeah, it's grand. So, with that out the bank, we got a little bit of conversation about a few other bits and pieces that have happened today. and stay tuned for the final teaser. Don't go anywhere. So, Eddie, what have we seen today? Maybe Ben can jog our memories with some sweet graphics as we go through the things that we've covered off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started off the day
good.
with the new cinematic trailer for Warhammer 40,000, and it is just absolutely spine-tinglingly awesome. It's we saw Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, Necrons, and kind of awesome fights.
I really hope that there's just chainsaw-wielding Sisters of Battle. They're not that good, but I would
ways
love
we've
them.
never seen before. So very exciting. I love that trailer. I'm going to go back and watch it when this is over again, just because it's great.
I think it's a testament to how fun it is that as it was on and we were waiting for the next segment, we were going, no, this is my favourite bit, and discussing.
Yes, quiet.
I love that her shoulder pad is
so that was very cool, and obviously that led into the reveal of some brand new miniatures, which with the characters in some instances features in that trailer, and also the hint that possibly the rest of the stuff we haven't seen in that trailer may well be coming in miniature form in the not too distant future. So a Primaris Assault Intercessor, that's right, chainsaws are back. And this guy looks like he's absolutely ready to make a charge into the middle of some heretic line and start chopping guys up.
Also, huge shout out to whoever did the paint job on that. It's amazing.
It is glorious, yeah. And I think as well, particularly for close combat oriented Space Marine chapters, we're very keen to include plenty of those in their army. You know, he'd look great in Zealous Black or Bloody Red or Fenrisian Skies Grey. You can paint him green if you want, Adam. That's fine. I'm sure you can paint him green. But then obviously we saw some brand new Necron warriors. So that these guys, again, a very cool-looking miniatures kit. They have a much more kind of hunched, decrepit, gothic horror sort of feel to them. They are not the shiny robots that we maybe saw previously or have seen previously for the Necrons.
I actually do like that they're more broken down and more decrepit and zombies.
Creations. And they've got kind of like rusted bits and missing eyes, and reanimation protocols haven't quite worked properly, and they're swarming with like these little techno scarab things. Just a really cool unit with some brand new weaponry as well, which will, I'm sure, be very keenly accepted into their arsenals by Necron players.
Yeah, no doubt. I also like the fact that we were hinted at with Stu Black that some of the other things you see in the trailer will be transitioning onto our tabletops very soon as well.
It looks like an old
and then there's
VHS.
This Dawn of
like
Fire
that's what it looks like.
Series, the first novel of which is revealed.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a brand new series from Black Library about Warhammer 40,000. Excitingly for fans of the lore, this is a collaboration between the studio and Black Library, where we will see the kind of the current narrative of Warhammer 40,000 explored in a lot of detail from every perspective, all the way through from like the Primarch of Belisarius, the kind of major players of the 41st millennium, all the way down to the kind of humble citizens, in the same style as a series like
I really hope they
the
give
Horus
more
Heresy or the
background
Beast
to
Arises.
like the average
but I think
characters,
excitingly
average people
for me
in
and I hope
40K.
for other Black Library fans as well, we don't know where this narrative is taking us, and it will be contemporary with the timeline of Warhammer 40,000 as it unfolds.
Yeah, I think this is the chance. There's often those conversations and questions. Do you remember where you were the time when you learned about the Horus Heresy for the first time?
Well, I was there when
or whatever.
the Emperor...
We're treading new ground here, and I love that the Black Library team and the Warhammer studio are working sort of hand in hand to forge this future narrative for the game that we love.
Yeah, and I think as well that first novel there by Guy Haley, I don't know how familiar you are with some of his recent books, but there have been some absolutely great books from Guy Haley recently.
Yeah.
I'm particularly fond of some of his stuff with the Blood Angels and with Dante. If you haven't read those books already,
the Devastation
and
of
you're looking for
Baal
something
was
to read over the next
pretty
few
good.
weeks while you're awaiting
Nids
this,
great again.
you could not go.
send Nids.
You couldn't do much better than Guy Haley's Dante series.
Yeah, a fantastic shout out.
Actually, in that series,
and then,
you get
to accompany the
you get
brand new
Sanguinius back.
edition of Warhammer 40,000 that
Granted,
we announced
it's a vision,
today.
but still.
We also announced the development of a Warhammer 40,000 app.
Absolutely. So Warhammer 40,000, the app.
Just like
we've talked about this a little bit in the past before. This has been developed for quite some time. Warhammer Age of Sigmar, the kind of sister system, already has a very good app, which is kind of an invaluable companion to anyone who plays Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I think it's almost a given that if you're a fan of that game, you have it on your phone. Warhammer 40,000, the app, intends to be everything that does and more. So that this will be, make some space on your device now, because this is going to be a kind of invaluable tool for anybody who likes Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, I agree.
Is the 9th edition core rulebook going to be free?
Oh, there we go. And here is the website that we just mentioned.
That's my biggest question.
A sensible piece of advice would be, if you want to follow all the latest news about the upcoming new edition of Warhammer 40,000 and really be up to date, sign up for the newsletter on there. I think there's going to be some cool things happening with that in the next few weeks. And so if you want to be sort of there on the ground floor, sign up for the newsletter as well.
Yep, so that newsletter basically will give you the updates whenever there is any major news about Warhammer 40,000. So when it's ready to pre-order, when we've made some big announcements, when anything about the new stuff that's coming out, that newsletter will kind of keep you up to date. But obviously we'll still be telling you about it on all the usual places too, so the community site and Facebook. But it's just another way to stay up to date. And that website, as we said before, will also have. Is well worth checking out just because it's full of cool stuff. And there's a few little hints about what's to come.
I was going to say, maybe there's an Easter egg or two lurking in there. I think somebody in the chat may have spied them, so make sure as soon as you're done here, you go and check it out.
Yeah, but not before.
Well, you don't want to miss anything, do you?
Not before the final thing we might have to show you.
Okay, well, show us.
Have we reached that point?
I feel like we might have.
Okay, let me see.
We've told you about the brand new edition. We've shown you some of the awesome new models for Space Marines and Necrons that are coming. We've talked about some of the changes. 9 great things for the new edition. 9 things? 9th edition? I see what they did there.
I thought we would have gone straight to X edition like they did with Power Armor.
Right.
Actually,
we've talked
that's
about
a good
Dawn of
joke.
Fire, the ongoing narrative for Warhammer 40,000, and how that's going to be propelled forward throughout
Armor
the
is
new
the
edition.
Deathwatch armor.
We've talked about the Warhammer 40,000 app that's on its way.
But that's just a theory.
I think we're there. What remains is to thank everybody who's tuned in from all around the world. It has been thrilling to see you calling in your locations, giving shout-outs for the things you love and are excited about. And for Eddie and I, it's been a real delight to share this time with you.
It was, yes, sorry, that was
that's all right.
my cue.
I'm not
it's been great.
After this, I'm taking
I'm
a
not
nap.
sure I've evolved to cues. What I would say, though, is we can queue up maybe one last video, and we'll leave you with it. In the meantime, lock in your diaries the Q&A session that will happen on Tuesday at 7 p.m. BST with the studio folks, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yep, silence, please, for the final show.
Okay. Ah, so they are releasing the Silent King. Nice. And he's on his floating throne. Nice. So he did look pretty cool. Oh. And I think that's it. Alright, they're showing it again. So he's essentially going to be the Primarch of the Necrons. I made this prediction a while ago, back when I was part of Remlay's and Michael's podcast, that every single faction in the game is going to get their Primarch equivalent. Sisters have Celestine, Gilliman is obvious, the 2 actual Primarchs are obvious, but it's like Silent King for Necrons, the Swarm Lord for the Tyranids, Gazgul for the Orks, and things of that nature. Shadow Sun for the Tau, and yeah. So, final thoughts. 9th edition is looking like Apocalypse. Just take 8th edition and Apocalypse rules and just fuse them together. That's 9th edition. We're probably going to get endless spells like we have in AOS, because AOS is the testing ground for 40k. I was a little bit, I'm worried, hesitant, but excited. Especially if they cap command point usage. I don't know, I didn't like command points. I feel like they should have brought them all the way down to like bare minimum so that the command point abilities are something like heroic versus something you do every turn because that's how your army functions, and just made those stock rules instead. But that's my own critique about command points. So yeah.
Yep, on my way.
This is no longer live, so I don't care about this. So yeah. Chat seems to be overall like in the mid of where it is. A lot of people like this, a lot of people don't. I'm in the category of I rate this whole thing an 8 out of 10. Could have been better. They should have started off with the Silent King, I feel. That would have been a bit more hype. But that trailer was really good. The new 40k thing kind of reminds me of like the old RoboCop. But yeah, overall, I really liked it. And if you guys are worried about what's currently happening with me, if you saw on social media, I will be making a video about that. If you have any questions or comments about that, please contact me. You can contact me via DMs. As always, I continue to look for your guys' support in all things. I'm NornQueenAlexis. I love you guys. Bye.